Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Today we are looking at every Championship team's bit of transfer business up until today, the 5th of July. Only 3 weeks until the season starts. We're reviewing all the business done by the teams in the Championship for the upcoming season. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do make sure to drop a big like on it. Let's go for 100 likes. Do subscribe as well, and we can maybe do another video like this closer to the season starting. But let's have a look at what the teams have done so far. We'll start with Birmingham City. It's quite easy. Birmingham are going in inactive. Obviously, we've got exciting at the top, good, steady, and inactive for the teams that really haven't done much. And it's understandable with what's gone on in the managerial department at Birmingham City. Obviously, we've seen Lee Bowyer gone out, and obviously Eustace has come in. Interesting, but I don't know why it's taken them so long to make that change. Looking at players they've brought in, Finlay Thorndike from Aston Villa on a free is literally all I'm seeing. There's been plenty of players going out the door, including Ivan Sanchez. Bella was released. Plenty of decent players, to be fair. Birmingham City have got 3 weeks to really get their act together, because I'm not really confident that they're going to have a great season based on the players they've got there at the moment. Next up, Blackburn Rovers. I'm going to put Blackburn in steady. Not too much business at the moment. Ethan Walker's come in on a free, but there's been a few players going out the door, including the likes of Rothwell and Lenihan. Blackburn have also had a change in manager as well, but they are certainly a bit more steady in comparison to Birmingham City. I'd say it's been steady so far, but they do need to start signing some players soon. They've been linked with a few, so we'll wait and see. Next up, we've got Sunderland. I'm going to put Sunderland in the good category. Looking at the players they've brought in so far, they've brought in Leon Dejaku on an undisclosed, Daniel Ballard on an undisclosed, Michael Spellman on a free. They've released a few players as well, but there's movement in both directions, which is good, especially for a newly promoted team. Sunderland are going in good, not finished all their business yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Been linked with a few players, but pretty decent business so far for a newly promoted team in particular. Bristol City next. They're going straight up in exciting. Let's run through the players they have signed. Kane Wilson on a free, Cal Naismith on a free. That's a very decent signing. Mark Sykes on a free, Ewan Clark on an undisclosed. Looking at some of the players that have gone out, Casey Palmer's gone out on an undisclosed, but very exciting for Bristol City. One of the teams in the Championship that have made the most signings so far. So straight up in exciting. If you're a Robins fan, let me know what you think so far. Blackpool are next. They're going in inactive, not seen any players come through the door just yet. They've released a few players, they've been linked with a few, but another team where they've seen a managerial change that can certainly halt things and delay things when it comes to players coming in. Not much to talk about so far for Blackpool. If you're a Blackpool fan, are you worried? Let me know down below. Next up, you've got Coventry City. Steady. We've brought in Casey Palmer on an undisclosed, and then a couple of youngsters to join our academy and under 23s and that, but yeah, typical Coventry. We're just not rushing into anything. I think Mark Robinson and Adi Vivash are weighing things up. Looking at what's been going on and what's been speculated, I do think one of the three key players will probably go, whether it's Gustavo Hamer, Callum O'Hare or Gyökeres, I'm not sure. I think it could be Gustavo Hamer. That's all speculation at this point. But if one of those players do go, it generates funds to then go and get some more. But so far, steady for Coventry. And if we can keep a lot of the players from last season, that's a good thing going into next season. Next up, Wigan Athletic. I'm going to put Wigan in steady. Not too much business at this point in time. Luke Brennan on a free, Josh Stones on a free, and they've released a few players as well. I've seen they've been linked with a couple of players. Pretty steady so far. I think that's fairly encouraging for a newly promoted team, especially when there's teams that I'm putting in inactive. So Wigan Athletic keeping a few of their decent players from last season and just adding a few more just to make it Championship ready. And I think it's pretty steady business from them so far. Next up, we've got Cardiff City. I'm going to put them straight up in exciting. Plenty of business going on at Cardiff City so far. Like I said with Bristol City, these two have made a lot of signings so far. Cardiff City have brought in O'Dowda on a free, Ryan Alsop, the goalkeeper from Derby County, on a free, Marlon Romeo on an undisclosed, and Rinomota on a free. There's quite a few other players as well. I think it's quite exciting for Cardiff City. I think when you finish low down in the table, you probably do need more wholesale changes, and Cardiff City are doing that. I think they're certainly going to climb the table based on the signings they've made so far. If you're a Cardiff fan, what are you thinking? Next up, Luton Town, definitely going in exciting. I really like Luton Town's recruitment plan. I think Nathan Jones is just spot on when it comes to recruiting for Luton Town. Let's look at the players they've brought in. Louis Watson, Alfie Doherty on undisclosed, Corley Woodrow. That is a great signing. He was brilliant for Barnsley. Undisclosed. Matt Macy and Ethan Horvath from Nottingham Forest. Good goalkeeper to bring in as well. Luton Town building up quite nicely there. I think it's quite exciting for Luton Town. Next up, you've got Middlesbrough. I'm also going to put them in exciting. They've been linked with very good players, but what they've done so far is still exciting nonetheless. Lenihan on a free, Liam Roberts undisclosed, Canel Conte on a free, and Ryan Giles on loan. Ryan Giles has gone out to quite a few Championship teams, and I feel like he's a very decent player for Middlesbrough to sign, so pretty decent. They've released a few players as well, but I think Chris Wilder's building a very strong team there. Once again, Middlesbrough fans, give us your thoughts. Obviously, all of the business isn't finished yet, but it's pretty good so far. Next up, Millwall. I'm also going to put them in exciting. Good business from Millwall as well. Afobe on an undisclosed. George Honeyman on an undisclosed. Zian Fleming for 1.7 million. That looks like a decent signing. And Zach Lovelace on a free. They've seen good players like Romeo and Jed Wallace go out, but I think Millwall are building in the right direction. That's some good business from them so far. And maybe they can gel that team ready for the first week of the season. Next up, we've got Norwich City. I'm going to put them in inactive. They have made one signing so far, Isaac Hayden coming in on loan from Newcastle United, but considering they're a team that have just come down, it's not particularly much business, is it? They've seen a lot of players go, most of them being released. Yeah, certainly one of the quieter clubs so far, but that doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. And remember, a lot of their players have played in the Championship before and they've won the Championship before, so it'll be interesting to see what business Norwich do before the start of the season from now. Preston North End, I'm going to put in exciting as well. Let's have a look at some of their signings. Freddie Woodman, undisclosed. Ben Woodburn on a free. David Cornell on a free. And Robbie Brady on a free. Some pretty decent business there from Preston North End. It's looking pretty good going into next season. And I think I've said before how Ryan Lowe has got the summer now to really build a team for what he wants to do with them next season. So, do you know what? It's pretty exciting times at Deepdale. Next up, Queen's Park Rangers. I'm going to put them in good business so far. They've brought in Jake Clark-Salter, and as a Coventry fan, he is a very good defender. I was a bit gutted that he didn't rejoin us, but yeah, very good business there. Kenneth Powell on a free as well. Quite a few players went out, but QPR haven't finished their business yet, and so far, so good. Next up, you've got Reading. I'm also going to put them in good business. Let's have a look. They've brought in Tom Ince on a free. Joe Lumley on a loan. That could be an interesting one. They've seen quite a few players go out as well, but like I say, there's players going in and out, so it's good movement from Reading so far. Let me know your thoughts if you are a Reading fan. Next up, we've got Rotherham United. I'm also going to put them in good business. Once again, I've said I've had a few Rotherham fans message me about their thoughts going into this season, how they think they built a team ready to be in the Championship this time round. Tom Eaves on a free, Washington on a free, Kioso undisclosed, and Cohen Bramall undisclosed. Some decent business there from Rotherham. I think they did have a decent team last season, but they certainly need additions this time round to make it Championship ready, and that is what they're trying to do. So good business from Rotherham so far. Next up, you've got Hull City. I'm going to slide Hull City into the good category. They've brought in Ozan Tufan on an undisclosed, Nathan Baxter on loan from Chelsea, and Figueiredo's come in on a free as well. So that's good business from Hull City so far. I've seen quite a few Hull fans be optimistic going into this season. They did what they needed to last season. They've got the manager there for the summer who they want to push on with in the right direction next season. He's bringing in some decent players, so I think there's cause to be optimistic at Hull City right now. Next up, Stoke City. I'm going to slide them into good as well. Good business from Stoke City. Liam McCarron, undisclosed. Josh Laurent from Reading on a free, Aidan Flint on a free, he's a decent player, and Gavin Kilkenny on a loan as well. So I'm quite impressed by Stoke's business so far. Stoke can absolutely go anywhere at the start of the season. Like, they're a really hard team to predict, but it feels like this time round, this summer, the recruitment's been pretty sensible so far. Next up, we've got Watford. I'm going to put them in steady, not all too much business. Plenty of decent players going out. They weren't going to hang on to everyone from the Premiership because they did have plenty of decent players. They've brought in Bio on an undisclosed. It could be a decent signing there. And Scott Holding has come in on an undisclosed as well. So decent business so far, relatively early considering Watford are a decent club with parachute payments, and I think they've got plenty of money still to spend, but we need to wait and see what they look like come the start of the season, which is only 3 weeks away. Next up, Huddersfield Town. I'm going to put Huddersfield in the steady category. They've brought in Will Boyle on a free and Francis Hurl on a free. They've seen Pippa go out on an undisclosed. Naby Sarr was released. Jamal Blackman was released. So a few ins and outs, but they're keeping the core of that team from last season. So looks quite positive going into next season. I think steady is a category that most clubs want to be in. Huddersfield aren't making wholesale changes, and that's a sensible thing considering they finished third last year. So they only need a little bit of tweaking to possibly get promoted next season. Next up, we've got Burnley. I'm going to put Burnley in the exciting category. I was a bit worried when they came down with the amount of players that were going out the door, and yeah, don't get me wrong, a lot of quality has gone out. Pope, me, Tarkowski. But looking at the players they brought in, Scott Twine undisclosed, that's a very decent signing. I feel like he could have even made a move to a bottom half Premier League team. He's a very decent player. Luke McAnally on an undisclosed could be decent. And they brought in a couple of loan players from Manchester City. So Kompany's links there really paying off. I think this is pretty exciting for Burnley. Wholesale changes, but they could pay off. Next up, West Bromwich Albion, one of the teams I've been most impressed with their business. Let's put them straight up in exciting. The players they've brought in. Jason Malumbi, decent player. Jed Wallace, what a signing. And John Swift as well, cracking signing there. West Bromwich Albion not going out all guns blazing to buy loads of players, but the players they're bringing in are certainly proven players, and that is looking like a very strong team going into next season. Steve Bruce, I think, is doing pretty well so far in this summer transfer window. Next up, Sheffield United. I'm going to put them in steady. They've only brought in Tommy Dale as of today, and that was on a loan. Could be a decent player, of course, coming from Manchester City. They've released a few players, but like I say, with Sheffield United, they finished in the playoffs last year. With the manager they've got, they don't need to make wholesale changes this summer, but I'd like to see a bit more business before the season starts. Pretty steady so far. If you're a Sheffield United fan, give us your thoughts. Last up, we've got Swansea City, and I'm going to put them in good business. They've brought in Cirinola on loan, Darling, undisclosed, Nathan Wood, undisclosed, Ben Blythe, undisclosed, and they've released a few players as well. So quite a bit of movement there, but Swansea City are trying to build a team to compete for the playoffs next year, and it's shaping up quite nicely. So then guys, that wraps up my video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you happy with your team's business so far? Yes or no? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure to drop a like on this one. Do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.